Hey y'all, it's Miss Wilkie, and today we're doing the midsegments and proportionality lesson. We're going to start off with triangle midsegment. So the first thing here, it says the midsegment of a triangle connects the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. So it's connecting the midpoints. Next thing, it says the segment is parallel to the third side. So that means they'll be going in the same direction. And then the third side is going to be twice as long as the segment. So let's go ahead and look at that in that picture right below it and fill in the information to the right side. The first thing it says is the midpoints. So over on the left, we've got those tick marks, one between A and D, and the other one between D and B. So that's telling us that D is a midpoint right here. Same thing on the right side. E is the midpoint of B to C because we have the tick marks. So our midpoints are D and E. Now the midsegment is that line that connects the two midpoints together. So our midsegment for this triangle is DE. The next thing, remember this symbol right here means parallel. And our midsegment is always going to be parallel to the third side. So our midsegment is DE, and the third side at the bottom that it's parallel to is side AC. Over on the right side, those are our equations. DE is going to equal half of AC. So it's half the length of the bottom side. And we can say the same thing, but opposite. AC, which is the bottom side, is going to be 2 times DE. So it'll be twice the length of the midsegment. So let's go ahead and try a few problems with that information. It says DE is the midsegment of triangle ABC. Find the value of X for each problem. So for number one, our midsegment is where the X is at, right there in the middle. And then down at the bottom, the other side is 28. So what we were saying earlier is that your midsegment is half of the bottom line. So we want to take 28 and divide it by 2 so that we can get half. And that is going to give us 14. So we're saying the midsegment is 14. All right, number two, same kind of thing, but this time we're working backwards because they gave us the midsegment and we're looking for this third side down here. So instead of dividing this time, we want to multiply by 2 because it's getting bigger. So 15 times 2 is 30, and our missing side will be 30. Number three is a little bit different. If you notice, they don't give us the midsegment or the third side. There's no numbers labeled on either of those two things. Instead, we have the 9 here and the X here. So those are not midsegments or the base. So do not try to multiply them by 2 or divide by 2. That's not what we're doing here. Instead, at the very beginning of this lesson, we said that if this is a midsegment, then these two are midpoints. So D is a midpoint and E is a midpoint. Now, midpoint tells us it's exact middle, so both of the two sides have to be the same. So if the bottom is 9, the top should also be 9. So X equals 9. For number 4, same process, but now we've got some X's thrown in, so we just need to write it out as an equation and solve it. We still have this third side over here, which is going to be twice as long as our midsegment, which is the line that cuts through the middle here. So we're going to write that out as an equation. We said the third side, which is 7x minus 1, is going to be equal multiplying 2 times the midsegment, which is 4x minus 3. So we're going to go ahead and solve this. We can do it by distributing this 2 to everything inside of the parentheses. So the left side will stay the same for now. 2 times 4x is going to give us 8x, and 2 times negative 3 is going to give us negative 6. Next step, we want to move the smallest x first. So we're going to move the 7x. We got to do the opposite, so we're going to subtract it. And we have to do it to both sides, so we're also going to subtract 7x on the right side. 7x minus 7x makes 0, so we can cross that off. Bring down your negative 1. 8x minus 7x is going to make 1x. And we're going to bring down our negative 6. So our last step here, we want to move the 6 because we want the x by itself. So negative 1 plus 6 is 5. Bring down your x, and the negative 6's cancel out. So x equals 5 on this problem. Alrighty, so on the back side of the page, we've got a different concept that we're learning here. This one is about triangle proportionality. It says a line parallel to a side of a triangle divides the two sides proportionally. So that means the sides aren't necessarily equal, but they'll be getting bigger or smaller by the same amount. So for this, we have to have parallel lines. So if you see the little arrows right there are telling us they're parallel. And that means our four sides of those triangles. So this side, this side, this side, and this side will be proportional to each other. All right, so let's look at number 5. It says find the length of AB for each of the following problems. So first thing we want to do is identify AB, which is right up here for this problem. And we're going to go ahead and put X because that's what we want to solve for. So for these problems, you're going to want to set up your proportions. And you're going to fill it in exactly how you see it in this picture, okay? So in the picture, we've got our line going up and down right here. So that's going to tell us the left and the right side. And then we can also draw a line going right here through the middle to tell us which one's the top and which one's the bottom. So now all we need to do is place those numbers and letters into our proportion and then solve it. So let's start at the top left. On the top left is X right here. So that'll be on the top left of our fractions. On the bottom left is 5. So the bottom left of our fraction will be 5. On the top right is the 6. So that will go on the top right of our fractions. And then the bottom right number is 10. So that'll go on the bottom right of our fractions. And then from here, we need to solve for X. So we're going to use our butterfly method and cross multiply and divide. So we have X times 10 in one bubble, and we have 5 times 6 in the other bubble. X times 10, we can put those together. It makes 10X, and 5 times 6 is 30. And then from here, we want to get rid of the 10, so we are going to divide by it. So 10x divided by 10 leaves us with x, and 30 divided by 10 is 3. So x equals 3 for this problem. All right, for number 6, same concept, but there's a little bit of a change on this one, so be careful. We're still looking for AB, which is the side over here this time, and we're going to go ahead and put our x right there. And we're going to set up our proportion. And then we need to draw our lines so we can see where the numbers lie. So again, this line cutting through the middle is going to be one of our lines. And then your other line goes the opposite direction. It makes like a T or an X. And then we can go ahead and fill it in. Top left, we have an X. For the bottom left, we have a 7. On the top right, here's where you need to be careful. All of these that we've been doing are parts of the side of a triangle, not the whole entire side, just parts. So for example, the X was the top left part, the 7 was the bottom left part. But when we look on that right side and see the 27, that is not a part. That is the whole entire right side. And we're not dealing with wholes right now, we're just dealing with parts. Okay, so we want to take that 27 and we want to cut out the bottom part so that we only have the top part left over. So 27 minus the bottom part, which is 6, would give us 21 for the top part. So we're going to go ahead and write that in. We want the 21 up top. If I were you, I'd cross off the 27 so that we don't see it anymore, because we want to make sure we're only using parts and not the whole. All right, so now we can keep filling it in. The top right section is 21, and the bottom right section is 6. And same as usual, we're going to go ahead and cross multiply and divide, butterfly method. So on one side, we have x times 6. On the other side, we have 7 times 21. When you multiply a number and a letter together, you can just put them together. So 6x. And then 7 times 21 is 147. Our last step to get rid of that 6 that's attached to the x, we have to divide by it. So the 6's cancel out, bring down your x, and 147 divided by 6 is going to give us 24.5. All right, on this next question, number 7, it's asking us, is AB parallel to XY? So this is the same concept as what we were doing on the last 2 problems, but this time we're working backwards. So if you notice, they gave us all the numbers for the parts of the sides that we need, but they did not tell us that AB and XY are parallel. That's what we are trying to prove. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and set up our proportion like we've been doing. They gave us all the numbers this time. So top left is 3, bottom left is 4, top right is 4, bottom left is 5. And we're going to see if these fractions are the same. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the calculator. 3 over 4, if you're not sure how to do that in your head to make a decimal, you can definitely put it in your calculator. 3 divided by 4 is going to give us 0.75. For the right side, same thing. Type in 4 divided by 5 into your calculator, and it would give us 0.8. And now we can compare those two numbers. 0.75 is not equal to 0.8. So what this is telling us is that these two lines are not going to be parallel. So again, if the decimals are not equal, then those lines are not parallel. All right, for the last section, 3 parallel lines theorem. This is actually very similar to the section before it. The picture just looks a little bit different. As you can tell, it's lines instead of triangles. So it says the segments between 3 parallel lines cut by transversals are also proportional. So let's go ahead and look at one of them. Number 8 says find the length of the missing segment. The missing segment that they're talking about is down here, BD. You can go ahead and put your X there. And just like the last one, we're going to draw that T so that we know exactly where to put our numbers. So the line, that third line, the one in the middle, is going to be one of your lines. And then your other line needs to go the opposite direction. So here's our other line. Make sure you have 2 numbers on the top and 2 numbers on the bottom, or an X on the bottom, and that'll work. So now that we've got that, we can go ahead and set up our proportion and look at your T to know where to put the numbers. So on the top left of our T is 16. So that's going to go on the top left of our fraction. On the bottom left of the T, we have X. So that's going to go on the bottom left. On the top right, be careful. There's a 40 and a 2 and a 3. The only thing that matters here, though, is the 40. That is a side measurement, and that's what we're looking for. The 2 and 3 are angle numbers, and we're not looking at angle numbers right now. So that 40 is going to be the number that goes on the top right. And then our last number, the bottom right of our T, is 30. So that's what we're going to put on the bottom right. Same as always, we're going to go ahead and cross multiply and divide so that we can get our answer. On one side, we have 16 times 30. On the other side, we have X times 40. 16 times 30, when you put it in your calculator, is going to give you 480. And X times 40, you can put them together, it's going to make 40X. And our last step to get rid of that 40 in front of the X, we need to divide both sides by 40 to get rid of it. So when we type that in the calculator, 480 divided by 40 is going to give us 12. And on the right side, the 40s cancel out and leave us with X. So the length of the missing segment, BD, is going to equal 12. Alrighty, last problem, number 9. Same exact concept, we're just getting some more practice in. So the missing segment that they're asking us to find is this one right here from J to M. So we're going to go ahead and put our X right there. We're going to draw our lines so we know where to put our numbers. The middle line is always going to be one of your lines for your T. And then the other line, just make sure you have 2 things on top and 2 things on the bottom. So there's our other line. And then we can go ahead and set up our proportion. So on the top left of the T, we have 16. On the bottom left of the T, we have 15. On the top right, we have X. And then on the bottom right, we have 18. All right, last time for these notes, let's go ahead and cross multiply and divide. On one side, we have 16 times 18. And on the other side, we have 15 times X. 16 times 18 is going to give us 288. And 15 times X is going to give us 15X. And then last step, we want to get rid of that 15, so we're going to divide both sides by it. 288 divided by 15 is going to give us 19.2. And the 15s cancel out and leave us with X. So right here, we're saying X equals 19.2, And they're asking for the missing side, so our missing side is JM, which is 19.2. All right, guys, that's it for this lesson. If y'all have any questions, please talk to your geometry teacher. Hope y'all have a great day.